So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. I told you I'd get you some updates on these pandas. A little bit sooner than I expected. We just had some delays on some other things that are supposed to come in. I was going to space this out a little bit more, give it a little bit more time. But you guys have been pretty active on asking me questions over Instagram or even in the comments. So I figured that there were some pretty key things that I want to address that I missed in my long ass review. Unfortunate. But I think it is good to get you guys' inputs on things that I should check out, and I think it'll help you guys make a more informed decision, because I think the way that I slate it so far is I can't recommend them at $400, and there's a lot of things in terms of like how these are powered and how these sound that kind of contribute to that fact, but I don't want to get it twisted. The thing's super detailed, super dope, and it sounds really nice when you can get it in the right scenarios. However, I didn't necessarily bring up all the scenarios that they sound in like great in. So there are a couple things that I'll go over. Let's start with cabling. So ignore the clutter. I'm testing out different headphones in comparison to the Pandas, and that's the reason why we're sort of in a state of disarray at the moment. However, when we start talking about how the Pandas connect to a PC, and I'm talking specifically to a PC because on the MacBook Pro, I'm not really having as many issues, but the PCs have more complex IOs, especially if it's built tower. So the things I want to start with are cabling. Again, your performance will vary depending on what motherboard you have or what sound card you're plugging this into. But for me, just using my Asus motherboard, it was a little bit quiet. Again, it's not egregiously quiet, but using the Boom Pro or the included 3.5, it was pleasantly loud, but nothing overwhelming. And generally, I like having that ability to get overwhelming, especially just in case a certain track is tuned down or if there's a quiet voice on a podcast. I like having that flexibility. I was just at the upper end, and my normal music sounded pleasantly loud. And again, for people that really like volume or like really like to crank it, you wouldn't be able to with the current setup that I have. So amping is a little bit issue that could potentially be a problem. However, some other options that you have that I never really thought about because I don't use it like this is you can plug it through this USB-C. So they do give you a USB-C to USB-C cable, and you can plug it in and it acts as a connection to your computer. And obviously it recognizes this as a headphone headset, actually more of just headphones, and it's super loud. So it amps it pretty well. So it sounds, again, it's not going to be completely perfect because it's going to be a little bit compressed, but 20% was really loud. It's like, let me put on some music to make that clear. I gotta find copyright. I don't want to deal with this DMCA stuff. So 1 second. Okay, so this is all set up, and this is gonna be 10%. Just playing off of YouTube. And that's 26. And if I was to play that on my ears, it's like 25 is like a little bit louder than it was at 100% when I was plugged in before. So then if we go to like 50%, and then if you go 100, let me change the track. So it gets really loud. And obviously at those levels, you'll get the actual physical, you get the physical hit on the bass. So if you're plugging it into a computer, I'd probably say plug it into the USB-C. That'll give you enough power to have all the flexibility and volume that you'll need, but you can't use the mics. That's the unfortunate part. I was trying to figure out a way to make it work that way. My computer only recognizes as headphones. So you can't use a mic in that instance. So if you're going to a call, it's just going to default to your what other mics are available at that time. So whether you have a webcam or if you have another microphone, that's how that's going to play out. So unfortunately, you can't use it as headset. You kind of have to just pick. But if you're just someone who uses it for music and you don't care about the whole mic situation, then that's perfect. If you need something where you can play as a mic, I will be releasing something later, hopefully later this year, but depends on shipping, maybe early January, about potential ways that we can make the Pandas and the Boom Pro's mic attachment to sound better without losing the functionality of the mic. But wait around for that shit. So using it with the USB-C obviously has an advantage, but if you are using that as your main way of plugging into a computer, depending on your setup, you may have some issues in terms of length. Since that cable is short, I think it's shorter than the 3.5, you may have, extension issues. So if you're on a laptop and it's just right in front of you, you probably won't have those issues. However, if you're on a, PC, or if you have a Mac tower, getting that in the IO and then trying to get it to your headphones, you may have some extension issues. So it would be recommended to buy a longer USB-C to USB-C cord to accommodate for that shortcoming. So as we get into Bluetooth, there is a little bit of different consideration here. So that's when you start getting into PC specific issues. So lovely people in the comments provided me an understanding that PCs have this issue. And that issue is that it can't parse out headsets and stereo headphones together. They see them as different sources. I didn't think of that. And I guess I didn't notice it because it did that with my Sony M1000s, but I guess it just didn't sound as egregious. So this is what to know. And I'll put screenshots on this to make this clear. But when you plug in through the Bluetooth on the Pandas, there will be two options. There'll be stereo and there'll be a headset. The headset's great if you want good mic quality and good, sound for a call. Of course, headset. However, if you use it for music, you're gonna get that trash that you heard in my other review. That terrible, choppy, wait music, elevator music, Burger King drive-through sound for music. Calls will be perfect, but for that, it will be bad. Pretty bad. However, if you change it to stereo, then it sounds good and it's amplified. So again, it doesn't get as loud as if I'm plugging it directly into the thing in the USB-C. However, it does get significantly louder than it does in stereo or in headset mode. So with this effect of the Bluetooth and the different types of outputs that they give you with the Pandas as they render on a PC, I did want to give you a good perspective of what that is. Unfortunately, I don't have the right sort of mini DSP scenario where I can have you guys hear the headphones perfectly. So we're gonna do this the jankiest way possible. So you're gonna listen to it this way. I don't know how this is gonna work out, but I hope it gets the point across. I really don't want to buy that DSP thing. I don't review headphones as often as like Z reviews. So please bear with me, but let's take a listen. So stereo mode is the one that you want to use. But again, very similarly to how the USB-C works, you can't use the microphone. You have to switch it over to the headset, otherwise you won't be able to get that same functionality. And that is a PC issue. I don't have like those separate connections when I see that on a Mac. I don't know if that's the same case if it's, Mac Tower or whatever. I've never had one of those. I just had PCs and Mac laptops. So that's all I got for you on that. However, again, you can achieve better sound on the Pandas through using that stereo mode. And again, you'll get a little bit more thump and you'll get a little bit more loudness, and that'll give you a lot of flexibility for whatever you're listening to, whether it's tuned high or tuned low. And that's what you really care about. So that detail is, not lost there. Again, it's not going to be the most bass hitting thing in the world, but you'll still get pretty crisp bass. You get really punchy bass, but you'll get crisp mids and highs that sound very detailed. Some songs, they'll sparkle. So those are some great ways that you can remedy the sound issues. However, even though that headset mode is there and there's a separation in stereo, I'm still not going to give it a pass necessarily, because even my old M1000s still have better headset mode than they do on the Pandas, which is stupid because, again, that old model is Bluetooth 4.3. This is Bluetooth 5.0. Should perform better. So here's another sample. I'll put this guy down, do another jank test. So one sec. So before we wrap this all up, there's two more things that I want to go over, one being sound signature and the other one being quality control. So the sound signature, again, it's very consistent to what we talked about before. It's very mid and high perfection with not enough punch on the bottom. That's consistent, but I think playing around with it more, listening to it more, I have been appreciating the sound signature that it does have, and I think I'm learning what songs work best for it. So I think this will help when I do the review with the other headphones against the 1000 MX4s and the Neuraloops, which again, that'll be coming soon, so just keep an eye out for that. But again, I've been really appreciating how detailed it is for strings, for really complex percussion, and horns. So a lot of like jazzy horns, whether it be hip hop or just jazz sets, really nice, very good separation and layering. Something that I want to emphasize again. Talked about in my last review. I will again talk about that in future reviews, but something I want to emphasize. And then finally, it comes down to quality control. I'm starting to see the Bluetooth wear down a bit in terms of like, you know, skips or like disconnecting. And I'm also seeing that my toggle, again, I called it a nipple in the review, but someone was like, why don't you call it a toggle? It's very true. So the toggle, it does control the power as well. I've noticed that I have to sometimes reinitiate it, so I'll hold it down and nothing will happen, but then trying it a second or third time, then it will go and shut off or turn on whatever I want it to do. So I do think that there's some quality control issues with this whole set. This production line might have just been pretty bad in general. It's just weird because, again, it's not like I'm mispressing it. It happens too frequently and too often for me to think it's mispressing. So it has to be something with the board or something with the quality. And, you know, reading around the internet, I think that this first line just wasn't great in terms of QC, and I hope that they improve their QC over time, because this is really like holding back this headphone from being, you know, worth the 400. So overall, there are more instances where these things can shine, and yes, they sound nice and they can be boosted in ways that you can enjoy now and not have to wait. However, does that change my recommendation? Not really. Again, these are $400 and they're not perfect right now. I think it's the end of the year right now. It's the perfect time to save up your money for the next new year, spend it on your loved ones. You know, it's the holidays. There's no point in buying this incomplete product right now. Just wait for updates to come through, wait for other people to chime in. And again, for me, you'll get every update around these headphones as they come. So in January, there's supposed to be an app and an equalizer coming through. Hopefully they'll resolve these issues. And then anything that happens with firmware or anything like that will also be on this channel. However, if you'd like more frequent updates, definitely check me out on Instagram and ask me questions, or even go into the comments. I'm very, very active on those, and the community that we've built down there and all the viewers are pretty active as well. So I got a lot of these suggestions from my comment section, and there's a lot of these suggestions on how to improve my experience through the comment section. So definitely suggest you check out that if you want some more real-time updates. But again, as new things come arise and I find out new things about these headphones, I will post an update. So I'll keep you guys locked. But anyway, yeah, man, yeah, you guys been killing it. Again, we're over 600 subs, progressing super well into the new year. I appreciate all you guys. Again, as you start getting into your holidays, please stay safe and, you know, try to spend time with your loved ones. I know it's hard for me. I know I gotta stay away from my parents just to keep them safe right now. But for the rest of you that have the ability to be with your loved ones, definitely enjoy that time, especially in these times when we don't know when we're going to see each other as often as we normally do. But anyways, I appreciate you guys sticking around with me. If you could consider liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love, I'd really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you very soon. Especially if freaking FedEx, DHL, UPS, and all that stuff catch up on the logistics. I'm waiting for so many things, but I'll get you content as soon as possible. Anyways, appreciate you guys. Peace.